Welcome to another cycle of Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions, a family podcast created for the next generation. Grandma Smarge can't wait to see what you'll become, Monk and Little Al. Live, pre-recorded from our family laundry room, with Smarge, Haas, and sometimes Otter, and always not the real guest. Here we hang it on the line with everyday ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. In the room where famous people are loved, adored, and admired, however, not invited, except for the great Willie Nelson, of course. Thanks for joining us in the laundry room while we fold through life's journeys. Here, we're keeping it real, washing through stains, and making colors a little bit brighter.
Welcome back, Smarge.
Hello, Haas. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you with your laundry situation? Are you keeping up?
You know,
Literally and metaphorically?
I actually have a load of laundry in my laundry machine right now. I should have brought it over so I could finish it while we recorded, but I didn't think about it. How about you? You just got back from your lovely vacation from Mexico. So how's your laundry situation?
Great. Because I bought a little washer and dryer for down there, and I put it in the closet.
A little Tweedledee and Tweedledum for Mexico?
Juniors. Little, I call them thing one and thing two down there. Yeah.
I think they need Spanish names.
Uno and dos. Jose 1 and Jose B.
Jose B.
Jose 1.
That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
How was your trip?
It was fun, but a little hot. Still too hot in October.
Really?
Yeah, you jump in the pool, and it's like,
It's not refreshing at all.
No, it was like, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh.
But it was nice to get away.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
I bet.
So glad to be back.
I'm glad you're back because we've got way too many podcasts to record.
I know.
It's been exciting.
I know. We've had a lot of people call us. A lot of NTRGs are.
Yeah.
And we're just so happy that people want to share their stories with us.
That's
why we're doing it.
We even got our recent comment that said people are wanting some juicier confessions, I guess.
Yeah, so, which made me think, oh my God, someone out there really is listening. Thank you, Sudbuds or Sudbud.
Yeah, thanks for following and thanks for messaging us and giving us some feedback.
Yeah.
We're always open to that.
So we will definitely work on some juicier confessions coming from the family laundry room.
I think I have one today.
Oh.
It's pretty juicy.
I want to hear it, Haas.
I mean, I had a run-in with the cops.
Did you get in trouble?
I got in trouble.
Oh, what did you do?
Okay, it wasn't that bad. But, so I was going to the grocery store. It was like a 5-minute, drive down the road and back. Mm-hmm. Got pulled over for speeding. I was going 10 over.
10 over? Why were you in such a hurry?
Because I was really hungry. I went to go get some stuff to make my quiche. And I was running back to my house to finish making my quiche, and I got pulled over, and then I immediately started crying.
So I was going to say, what was that feeling? Whoa, 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 and the flashing lights. You cried?
I just
Did you mean to cry? Did you?
I did. It's so embarrassing.
Did you mean to cry to get out of the ticket, or did you cry because it really freaked you out?
It really freaked me out. I don't know what it is. I don't have a lot of run-ins with cops, which I guess is good, but I just get terrified and scared, and I immediately just start crying. I can't control it. I'm an adult woman, but I can't, and I look pathetic, and it's so embarrassing. And the cop was actually very nice, but he could not care less that I was crying.
Did you know why you were being pulled over?
No, I really didn't.
Okay.
Because I was going speed.
Obviously you weren't paying attention to the speed.
I was going with traffic, right? As fast as everybody else. So in my eyes, that's not speeding. You're just going the speed of traffic. But of course, he had to pull me over, even though the guy next to me was going the exact same speed. Anyway.
So if everyone threw all of their colored clothes into a bleach wash, would you do the same? You should say no.
Well, no, but if it gets me to my quiche faster, then yes.
Okay.
So anyway, I think my confession is I have an issue. I
was going to say, how old do you feel? Like when you're crying like that, do you feel younger, like kind of scared?
Yeah, like a baby. It's really embarrassing. So I think I just have an issue with authority. I don't know. What's your connotation towards police officers?
Well, first, the reason why I asked you if you cried on purpose to try and get out of the ticket is I have a confession as well.
Oh, boy. What is your confession?
I did do something on purpose to get out of a ticket. So it was when I was first a mom, first baby, and I had to go pick up my husband, new dad, from work at like 10 in the morning. Had a little bit too much fun the night before.
A little hungover.
Wasn't feeling good. So I left, and I'm nursing. I left the baby with my mom, and I go to pick him up, and I get pulled over for speeding.
Oh, no.
And I knew I was speeding, and kind of explained to the cop, sorry, I'm just in a hurry, I wanted to be back. And I also knew that if I thought about that I needed to get back to nurse the baby, that would probably trigger lactation. And I also knew I forgot to put a bra on.
Oh, no.
So I knew that if I did that and I leaked, I'd probably create an embarrassing moment. And it did. Everything went to plan, and I did not get a ticket. But he did say, slow down, because the baby ain't going to eat if you wind up dead. So he did say, slow down, but I did not get a ticket.
Well, he sounds
so
like
that's
actually
my
a pretty
confession.
nice guy.
He was, or just like, get her out of here. I don't know.
You probably just made him so uncomfortable he didn't know how to handle it. So he said, go ahead, go home.
Yeah, but I've never had any police officers in my family or friends in my... How about you?
No, I mean, I think I just have this somewhat negative connotation towards police officers, but I'm not really entirely sure why. And
or is it a healthy fear? Like,
it could be healthy.
Know.
Yeah, that's true.
You said you didn't get in trouble a lot, so...
Well, I never got caught. That was the thing.
Okay.
But anyway, I think it would be nice to hear from a cop's perspective.
It would be.
And because they're just regular people.
But like I said, I don't know anybody. How about you?
Well,
no way.
You're in luck.
Oh, really? This is why I love you, Haas.
God, if these get any cornier, we might have to.
This is our corniest part of the bit, okay? And if you listen to Smartlist, they have some pretty corny parts too. So
we got to transition it somehow, okay?
Brittany,
so
I was going to tell you not to be clothes-minded about cops, okay?
Yeah. There it is.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a good one. That could be the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
But today, actually, we have a wonderful cop and his wife, Ron and Sherri, are here today.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being our NTRGs, not the real guests.
Thanks for having us.
And we started that because we want to talk to real people, in the family laundry room about real things that are going on in 2024.
Yeah.
So we have Ron. How long? You are retired now?
Yes, 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So how long were you with
33 years, 9 months, almost 34 years.
Wow. That's a long career.
Yes.
And when did you decide you wanted to become a cop?
I was about 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So this is something you had always known almost your entire life.
Yeah. How blessed do you feel, in a way, when you knew what you wanted to be and that's what you got to do?
So it's funny because
And what started it at 7?
I'm sure the younger people don't know what the show is. It's a show called Adam 12. It was actually about 2 patrolmen.
I remember it.
And so the funny thing about it was I remember watching the show
I had
going...
a crush on one of them. Yeah. I wanted to marry a police officer.
What an interesting job. I mean, going from person to person, call to call, situation to situation.
Just cruising in your car.
Yeah, and getting radio calls.
Having your buddy with you.
Yeah, and going up and saying, what's the problem? And having to figure out how to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And you knew that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody in your family that you could follow along? Or?
I had my mom's cousin was a sergeant on Denver, and actually he was still a sergeant when I came on the job.
Okay, and you were with Denver as well?
Yeah, and my dad's uncle was a captain on Denver Police Department in the 30s and 40s.
Wow.
So yeah, and I actually knew him, and at one point he said, I think you're going to be the next cop in the family. And I was like 8.
Oh, wow.
And he said that to
That's
me.
big
Yeah.
to say that to someone who's 8 years old.
That is.
That's incredible.
But it's something I've always wanted. And the funny thing was, I remember I'd been on the job probably about a year, and my dad asked me, he said, is it as good as you thought it was going to be? And I said, no, it's better.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That is really following your passion. That's so cool.
I couldn't believe they paid me to do it. Honestly.
Yeah.
So would you say that this was your passion?
Oh,
I
absolutely,
mean,
yeah.
definitely a
Yeah.
passion, because in season 3, we're talking about passions, whether it's work or play or both. So
I never had,
this
honestly,
was your passion.
I'll be honest with you, with the exception of having to sit on crime scenes,
Yeah.
I loved everything about the job. Sitting on crime scenes was a little boring because you had to wait for a warrant. Like you had a homicide in a building.
Right.
Right.
And so you had to sit, and I had a guy that got beat to death.
Oh, God.
And so I had to sit kind of in the room with him
Until the paperwork
until
is
the
done.
detectives got the warrant to go actually do the search
Right.
and remove the body. You know, so that was a little like, ugh, you know.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of a,
Like,
Yeah.
I want to keep moving.
let's go, yeah.
Go ahead, Sherri.
I heard him on more than one occasion over 34 years call his job a front row seat to the greatest show on earth.
That is
Oh, that's perfect.
actually probably pretty accurate.
That is
because
perfect.
every day's different. You probably have a different exciting event happening each day. It's probably
sometimes
thrilling.
and sometimes boring. You know,
Right.
like when you're in patrol and you're on, my first shift when I was on the job, because, you know, it's shift work, was from 2 a.m. till 10 a.m.
Oh,
was my
wow.
first shift. And then they changed it
Yeah.
to midnight to 8, which was, to me, it was even worse,
Yeah.
you know. And I did that for the first 4 years I was on the job. I worked
Oh, my
the
God. That's tough.
And even at that, I still loved it. You know, I still was like, I can't even imagine going to any other job with those hours and
No.
looking forward to it. And I
Oh, that'd
did.
be a nightmare.
You know, I did.
Did you have kids at that time?
No, when we first had kids, I was at that point in time I was working 6 at night till 2 a.m.
Oof. Okay.
So it was
That's
easier
a little better.
because the thing is that what was nice is I would come home and I would stay up and wait for the baby for the 4 o'clock feeding. So I just stay up, and then when the hard part was 3 o'clock would come and go, and I'm like, should I go to bed or are they gonna get up?
Right.
You know, so. But it worked out well because we kind of split.
Made it work. Yeah.
And especially with that, I didn't have weekends off. I had like Tuesday, Wednesday, or even
right.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Like
sometimes.
weird days. Yeah.
You know, so we kind of could interact and share the parenting because I wasn't working the 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday off. You know, so
Right.
it worked out well for us. I
Yeah,
thought.
and I stayed home, so the kids were used to me all the time. But I have so many photographs of him when he would come home, of him holding one here on his shoulder and the other one here around his waist. They would jump on him, and he'd make his coffee, he'd get his breakfast, and they just would not get off of him.
I think you've showed me those photos. Can you send those to me?
Yeah.
Those would be whenever. We'll do it later. But that's incredible. I think I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I did want to talk to you about how it was raising kids and like your perspective, Sherri. But just to back up a tiny bit,
Okay.
before you even started as a cop, you were in the Marine Corps before that,
For
correct?
4 years.
Okay.
And I
4
joined
years.
the Marine Corps specifically because, at least in Colorado, I know in New York you can start on police department at 18,
Right.
but in Colorado you can't start till you're 21.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
So
You said I'll join the Marine Corps for a little while.
because I knew someone had told me that veterans got preferential points in testing. You got an extra 15 points added to your test if you were a veteran.
Score.
So I was like, I can use. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so I thought,
Well, but why not?
I could use the points.
But
Yeah.
But what a great way to be rewarded for, your knowledge of what you've already learned. I mean, it's almost like, it's almost like a free wash, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Wrinkle-free.
So I took the test, and it's funny because back then they gave the test every 2 years. Now it's kind of ongoing because you can do it online.
Right.
Well, whereas when I got on the job, it was every 2 years, and it happened in a place that doesn't exist anymore. And you're from Colorado, right?
Yeah.
You remember Kurgan Exhibition Hall?
Yes.
So that's where they had the test, which again it doesn't exist because it's now the Colorado
Right.
Convention Center.
But they had the test there, huh?
And I walked up and there was almost 2,000 people in line to take the test.
They were hiring
Oh,
like
wow.
And had I had anything else to do that day, I was like,
So is that what is this, early 80s?
it was 86.
86, okay.
So a cop,
Okay.
a test to become a cop? Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point in the 80s, was that a sought-after job, or did you have too many applying? Or-
Yeah. So
You did, okay.
so kind of look at that point in time in Denver, So kind of give you, for instance, so they did it over 2 years. There was 2,000 people. I took the test, and off that group of the 2 years they were hiring, they hired 105 people.
Oh, wow. And you made the cut?
Yeah.
Wow.
Around
Over
2000.
the 2 years, so they hired 3 classes of 35 each.
Oh, my God.
So
Because-
your uncle or cousin was correct.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, because now I feel like it's kind of hard to find good cops these days.
so it's hard, and then actually
But are people applying?
the sad part is I think in the advent of the BLM 2020
Yeah.
riots of defund
George
the
Floyd.
police and all this, and George Floyd and all that, I think that kind of comes under the same umbrella as post Vietnam when everybody's anti-military, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like,
Okay.
baby killers, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I think police have, and unfortunately, the media has cast this bad connotation of being a cop.
Yeah.
So I at one point when I was in District 6 was my last assignment, they put a Denver Post reporter with me.
Mm-hmm.
This was during the one prior to that. It was in Missouri. I think it was another one of actually when BLM first was formed.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so
Oh, was it the kid that was looking through the house that wasn't quite?
no, the one
finished?
that the cop ended up shooting him. He attacked the cop. I can't remember. It was,
Yeah, darn it. We'll get.
Well,
Not
This is why we need Otter.
I know.
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
Obviously.
Thank you.
that was
Sherri?
during the whole thing. They had her ride with me because the area I worked at that point in time was very African American.
Okay.
So then she wanted to see how I interacted with the African American community, and I told her, "This is a job. I'm not looking. I respond to the calls I get,
Right.
whatever that may be. I'm not. First of all, this is my job, and I do it to support my family, my wife, my children. I'm not looking to have some sort of vendetta against the African American community.
Or anyone for
Right.
that
Because
matter.
how
Right.
how stupid is
And
it
what a waste of time.
for me to shoot, abuse, whatever, African American, because all it's going to end up going to jail.
Right.
And so it's the media paints this picture that I'm driving around as a cop going, what black
what
man
group
can I
of
mess
people
up?
can
Yeah,
I
who can I
pick on?
screw over
Yeah.
right now?
It is not a thing, but
Right.
that
Time.
Because we're around the same age.
yes.
How do you feel like what went down in 2020 as compared to with Rodney King
Oh.
in is that early 90s?
10 times worse.
This
Worse
was
and-
way worse. 2020.
Why
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
think we didn't learn anything? It seems like we didn't learn
Because the
very
media,
much from that.
again, you look at even Rodney King, if you look at the response that LAPD did, and you look at how he responded, the media again paints this picture because there was 2 other guys in the car that never even were hurt.
Touched.
Right.
They acquiesced.
Right.
They did what they were told. They were handcuffed. It was done.
Right.
But if you look at how LAPD handled that, it was procedurally correct. Even George Floyd, if you look at, although I think the guy was an idiot, the cop was an idiot because how he didn't respond to what was occurring. Plus
Right.
the media or the vice band, people are filming you.
Right.
Right.
And I think that is one of the things that went down with Rodney King is this is way before cell phones, of course, and all of that. However, it did get caught on camera to where people could watch it and form all these opinions.
But again, the media
but
shows
the
what
media
they want.
only they got
Exactly,
to
yeah.
select
Yes.
what they showed.
Yes. And with that being said, it's hard to explain it as a non police person. There's different responses to aggression, and nobody understands. As a cop, I have to respond to aggression.
Right.
My job is
You were trained that way.
My job is to apprehend somebody, arrest somebody. This isn't
Diffuse the
Mayberry where
situation.
Otis goes and locks himself in the cell. Some people go, "Yeah, I don't want to go to jail." Well, guess I can't go. Okay, well, turn yourself in when you're ready.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have to go. No, you got to go to jail.
Yeah,
Here we
sorry.
go.
Yeah.
This is
it's not really
yeah.
up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I'm here.
And so
yeah.
nobody understands that. Like with Rodney King, there was, and it has since been, I guess, become a non-tactic even in Denver, it was called a carotid control hold. Okay, where you basically pass somebody out by restricting the flow of blood through the carotid
And
artery.
that used to be okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So for some reason, and it's actually, if you look at it, if they would have done that to Rodney King,
He would have been he would have been out, and then
but it is if you look at it from a bystander's perspective, who doesn't understand violence, and violence is
it
violence.
can look really scary.
No, it doesn't. You're just passing them out. I'll give you, for instance, I was
Okay.
I was at a bar. It's called the Hornet. It's down at First and Broadway in Denver,
Oh yeah.
and we walked in on a fight, me and my partner, and this guy they're fighting, and this guy picks up a beer bottle and he's getting ready to hit a guy with it. Well, I go behind him, and I use a carotid control hold, and I pass him out.
Right.
Right, and he goes to sleep, and I cuff him up, and people are walking by. I mean, this bar is full. It's on a Friday or Saturday night, and he's probably walking by, going, "That was amazing! I can't believe there was no violence because there was no hitting, there was no.
Oh, I
You just
see.
pass him out, and
You
cuff
just-
him
And
up,
then once
done.
they pass out, then they'll start breathing on their own.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
Okay.
but because there was certain instances, if someone is on cocaine or meth, it there's a possibility they can go in cardiac arrest.
Oh, I see.
And so that's why most
Hey.
departments throughout the country said we can't do that.
You
Because
can't
of
do
the
it
drug
anymore.
interaction.
because of this rare instance where it could occur. So
if they're on drugs and if they're, yeah.
So now you're
Okay.
stuck with a more violent approach, whether it be sticking somebody, and that's prior to Rodney King. LAPD had outlawed that, so that's why you got the tasing
Okay.
and using the PR-24s, which are a nightstick. That's the nightstick that kind of looks like it's got the little tiny handle at the top. Denver never used them, but they have it's a regular stick.
Oh, I see. I see
and they
that
do
on
the
TV.
swing.
Yeah.
And you see them up there, and they would tase him, and they walk up, and instead of just, for lack
So
of
they beat him up with the stick.
kind of, and for lack of a better term, what we used to use in Denver, we used to call a pig pile, right? So we get a guy that was behaving badly, and like 6 of us just jump on top of him, a pig pile,
Big pile.
and that's what we'd call
One
it.
way to do it.
And that was actually, had LAPD just pig piled him, jumped on him, cuffed him up.
Okay.
Yeah.
know.
I mean, honestly,
Like
you
some
got to do
countries,
what you got to
some
do.
countries call that rugby.
Yeah.
They call it a scrum.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So I mean, at some,
Right?
At some,
That seems better.
And at the end of the day, at some point, somebody's got to put hands on him. At some
Yeah,
point,
you have to. I mean,
somebody's got to jump on him and
Exactly.
Right.
put a cuff on him. And
Right.
so, my rule is always, if you want to fight, we'll fight. Once the cuffs are on, we're done.
Right.
I never thumped anybody once they had the cuffs on. However, if they want to go, I'm good with that. We had an instance where we want to call, and the parents called because their son was out of control and they couldn't control him. And we go down in the basement. He's down there just kind of being an idiot. And we're like, his parents signed a complaint. He was so bad they signed a complaint. And so we're like, okay, you're going to jail. He's like, let's go. And so we ended up breaking pretty much every bit of furniture in that basement. That
Oh, my
fighting with
God.
this guy. Because
Really?
it's on. And,
So
Right.
yeah, and
you know.
what, like, do you mind? Can you remember like around what year that was? Because for me, it seemed like I didn't know you could call a police officer if you were having a hard time with your teenager.
No.
Yeah.
And then it
that
seemed
was-
to have spiked.
That would have been good to
That
Do you
do.
know what I mean? Then
was-
it seemed to have spiked and almost been out of
That
control.
was probably about 93.
Oh, so even that early.
So yeah.
like
mean,
it wouldn't have occurred to me.
we had so many instances.
But I had a 3-year-old.
In fact, there was a actual, I wouldn't call it a child. There was a way of removing a child from their house and putting them in shelter if they were beyond control of parent. It was BCOP. You'd put on the paperwork BCOP, beyond control of parent.
Oh.
Did you
That's a
feel an
thing.
increase of those calls as you progressed into your years of service, or do you feel like just kind of came and went?
So no, it's hard because when I was in District 4, which is Southwest Denver, which is much more residential, you had a lot more of those kind of family interaction, family issues.
Okay.
And then I went to SWAT for almost 15 years, which we didn't handle radio calls. We just did,
Right.
We did barricades, we did warrant services. And then I went to District 6 for my last 8 years, and I worked downtown. So, you had the apartments, but most of them are
A
kind
little
of
different. Yeah.
single, parent, or single, are people
Family.
married with no kids.
Right.
Right.
So we didn't have a whole lot of, we have like maybe a domestic violence, but we didn't have kids.
Kids, right? Yeah, that would probably
Yeah.
be more like in Lakewood, Jefferson
Yeah,
County,
so-
that
but-
type
but
of
like
thing. We have a lot
Right.
of
Like
families.
District 4, like Bear Valley, and we had a lot of the kids stuff. We had a lot of the interaction
Right.
with the family and the kids. So we had a lot more beyond control of parent in those years
Okay.
than we did when I went back to 6.
Right. Okay. So I know you had mentioned that you were on SWAT, but I wanted to go back to how many years, like you went on the force. How many years is between that and when you joined SWAT?
It was 11 years.
11 years.
11
Now, did you have the same partner that 11 years, or
No,
do
no,
you
no.
switch a lot? How do partners work? Because, like on Adam 12,
Yeah, they're the same partners. It's funny.
same partners all the
because
time.
the funny thing about Adamville, I laugh. Even I watch it now. It's still on TV. And so the one Malloy always drives, and Reed's always
Right,
the
right,
partner.
right.
So the way it works in reality is, of course, because the passenger always does all the writing. He does all the
Paperwork and all the.
does all the reports.
Okay.
That's his job. The only thing the driver does is he pulls over people. He writes the ticket if you're pulling over someone.
Oh, okay.
But the
Oh, you don't switch.
but so
Or
the way it depends on the partner. But you switch every day.
I was going to say you're trained in driving and you're trained in writing the reports.
So the way, depending on the partner. So when I was working with partners, one guy would start out the shift driving, and then when we'd go eat, when we got done eating, the other guy would start driving.
Okay.
And he would drive till the end of shift, and then he'd start the next day out driving, and he'd drive until we ate, and then he'd switch, and we'd finish out the shift with the other guy driving. So we'd constantly every half shift we would switch driving.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
You know.
Now, do you switch partners or do you get assigned? How does it work? How do you get assigned a partner? I just don't you get a say? Because
So it depends.
you have to be able to work.
You have
with
to
the
have some like chemistry, I
So
imagine.
very much it is very much.
I'm also a Blue Bloods diehard,
And
so I'm like, you need to be able to work with your partner.
Last season, baby.
So the funny thing about the police department is it's very, at least when I came on, it's a little less now. It is very seniority focused, right? So if you have seniority, you have say.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
you can make a suggestion.
So if you don't have seniority, you don't have a say.
Yeah.
So in other words, I'll give you for instance, when I first started on the job, I was brand new. They put me with a woman, Jeannie Isabel, which I don't care. Women police officers doesn't bother me at all. However, we're driving. She's driving. I'm passenger. I'm doing the paperwork, and we get halfway through the shift. I said, "Are we switching?" And she said, "My car, my rules." No.
What?
So I'm like, okay,
How is it her car?
because
She's senior
It's her
officer.
car. She's senior.
Oh, that's not fair
So
though.
it's her car, and that's just the way it was.
It's like
So I'd been on the job like a year, and she'd
Right.
been on the job like 7 or 8, and it was her car. So the way it worked is, for instance, in District 4, where I started out, there was each district has, at least in Denver, and every let me say this, every city is different. But in Denver, there's now 6 districts in Denver.
okay.
Each district, there is given the district 2 or 3 sectors. Each sector has 4 or 5 precincts.
Okay.
Each precinct has a car. Each car works that precinct. So, for instance, it might sound confusing.
A little bit.
So when
I'm
I was
with
in,
ya.
so when I was in District 4, okay, there was 3 sectors. Okay, Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, each sector had 4 cars, 4 precincts.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, I was
Okay.
I was car 424. So it was the second sector, the 4th car in the second sector.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So for her, she was 435. So that sector
Oh, I
had 5
see.
cars. So she's the 5th car in the
Okay.
3rd sector.
Right.
And that was her car. She was assigned that. The sergeant went, "Hey, I want you to work
This is
this
your
car for me."
Okay.
Okay. And the thing was that I was new, so her partner was on vacation. So because she didn't have a partner, they put me with her because I was brand new.
Right.
Because that was her car, because it was her and her partner.
Right.
She had say of how I was going to be in that car.
Gotcha.
Still
Okay.
like an honor to get assigned a car.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
And that makes fair. That makes sense. She was in the industry for 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
You have to earn that, but
So
still.
a kind of a funny sideline. Many years later, she was kind of not a hardworking person. So eventually, she fell out of favor with sergeant. She didn't really have a car. She was what they called relief, which was she didn't have a car. She just kind of floated around and partnered up with whoever partner was either on
Doing a
days
quick
off
wash
or-
when you really need
Yeah.
a soak.
Yeah. So
Yep, and
yeah.
you know it.
There you go.
Yep.
So this has probably been on the job probably 6 years at this point, and my partner was on vacation, so they put her with me.
Oh, wow.
And now it's my
Now
car.
it's your car.
My car.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Yeah. So if we get to dinner, and
We
she's
call
like,
that karma.
"Are we switching?" I'm like, "No," and I think you know why.
And she said, I do.
Yeah, she did. She said, "I do."
Hung her head and said, I do.
Funny.
Message received.
Yeah.
Good for you. We call that karma and good karma. Like that. We call that finding like a 20 in the dryer.
But as
you
far
know, like, ooh.
Yeah. And now, a word from our sponsors. Hatcher Fly Co. They sell handcrafted flies for all your river excursions. Steelhead, trout, salmon, custom flies, and merchandise. Use the code Dirty Laundry, no space, for 15% off your next order. That's Dirty Laundry for 15% off at hatcherflyco.com. Feel the tug.
But as far as partners go, again, as I got senior, as I got more on the job, for instance, my first partner, his name was Troy Zimmerman, and the sergeant said, "I like the way you guys work. Can you work together?" And they're like, "Yeah, we like each other."
Yeah.
So they put us together.
So you kind of have a say.
After he left, there was the next guy I had. His name was John DePaulo. The sergeant came up and said, "Hey, who do you?" Because Troy left, he went to a different unit. He says, "Who do you want to be your partner?" And I said, "I like the way he works. I want him to be my partner." And he said,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Okay, cool.
Nice.
So you do kind of have a say.
Who was
I-
your longest
Get
partner?
to know them.
His name was Tom McKibben, and that was on SWAT. And
Yeah.
he-
Oh, so you have partners on SWAT too. For some
Yes.
reason, okay. In my mind,
Yes.
and what I've seen on TV, is they just all come out of the van together, and I didn't realize there was a partner as well.
So the way it works in SWAT is that you have a take-home car because you're on call 24 hours.
Okay,
a
that
week.
makes sense. Okay.
So you're constantly on call. So you have all your equipment, which is, machine guns and vests and
Yeah.
and flashbangs, which are which
So you show up
traction
on the
devices.
site in your car.
Yeah.
Who drives the big van that has everything in
So
it?
they assign somebody, like for instance, when we get called out, they'll say, "McKibben, get the van." They'll tell somebody to go get the van
Specifically, gotcha.
at
Whoever's
the
dispatching
unit.
all of this. Okay.
Yeah, and that's usually the sergeant, and so they'll tell somebody specifically, "Go, so and so, go pick up the van." So he'll actually drive his personal vehicle to the unit. We called it the unit. That was where
Right.
And they would pick up the van and drive it to the location.
And how long did you have that? And what was that partner's name? Or-
Tom McKibben.
Right.
He
And-
was my partner for, let me think now.
And Sud Bud Smiles are pretty
So
big
he was
here,
my
so
partner
like
for
it
9.
was a
He
good
was my partner
partnership.
for 9 years.
Nice.
Tom's awesome.
Do you still keep in contact with all of your old partners?
Yeah, I do.
That's awesome.
Well, unfortunately, a couple of them are no longer with us.
Well, yeah, I imagine.
Do you
But-
ever call the lady back every once in a while and ask her if she wants to ride around in your car?
No.
Just for
She
fun?
can't drive though.
So yeah,
I
no,
said ride around in my car.
Yeah.
But no, we usually a bunch of
that's
us get
neat
together
right
like once a
here.
month,
Nice.
Yeah.
and just
That's
all the
good.
guys I worked with, we gotta get together once a month and just
Right.
have lunch and talk about old times and
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Tom is
Talking
special.
about SWAT, is this a good time to lead into SWAT year?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
So, being from Colorado,
Yeah.
I think we should bring up Columbine,
Sure.
and because it's such a monumental event in American history, it really is.
Oh,
Right,
100%.
it is, yeah. 100%.
So, and this is when I believe you were on SWAT or were coming into SWAT.
I
Or
was on-
Would you like to tell your story?
I'd been on SWAT for a year. So Columbine was
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
for those Columbine was school shooting in, what was the year?
April 20th, 1999.
1999.
In
April
case you
20th.
didn't know, listeners, I feel like
Said
everybody knows.
Well, I don't know if they know the exact year. Do you
Oh,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
okay.
And they'll be like,
No, sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
hey, Haas,
I'm
I'm just
sorry.
trying to like give more information.
No, you're right. Good call. Good call. I didn't remember the year, honestly. I didn't realize it was 1998.
99.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah.
99, yeah.
I've been on a year because
A year you've been into SWAT.
I started
okay.
Metro SWAT in February of 98.
And how
Yep.
was this year working up to it? Uneventful?
Not a whole lot, just
Okay.
kind of regular stuff,
Right.
What is
And the thing is that the problem is, again, SWAT, like the regular districts, it's all seniority based and obviously trust based, right? So I'm a new guy, so as you're in that first year, you're doing grunt work. You're doing just basic, your perimeter. You're not making entry into the house as far as like on barricades or
You're
armed
working your
suspects.
way up then.
Yeah, they're
okay,
seeing if they
gotcha.
can trust you. So they're putting you on
They're
a
watching
perimeter
you
where,
and-
where it's really pretty much not a whole lot of
Right.
low speed, low drag kind of stuff.
Okay.
Where they need you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a whole lot of really interesting work. It's pretty
Okay.
boring. I mean, you're driving the equipment van. You're driving.
Right.
You're doing just the crap jobs.
Right.
Okay,
Like-
okay.
And you have to know that eventually you're going to get to do because everybody wants to do. You go into SWAT because you want to do the shit. You want to do
Right.
some stuff.
Right.
You want to kind of. I was kind of an adrenaline junkie. I like kind of dangerous stuff.
Yeah,
Right,
it sounds
yeah.
like
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
But you had to work you had to be
Yeah.
patient and work your
Yeah.
way up.
So you're sitting on the outside of the house.
Did they have a name for like the newbies? The new guys in SWAT?
No, they just kind of treat you like crap. basically.
Yeah.
Just your typical 1990s hazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to weed you out,
Because you had to make the coffee every night. You
Yep,
had, You had to
typical,
vacuum
yeah.
every night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you had to do
It was the grunt work.
It really was.
They
And they,
But
make
it-
sure you're not going to fold under the pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
they had to make, they see if you. how
And I
you
get
were
it. They're
fine.
building trust. They're
But,
watching
but
you.
also, it's also, are you a team guy, right? So if you, I always understood, whether it be when I was in the district or I was in Metro, I'm the new guy,
Right.
And if I don't get good days off or I don't get to do the fun stuff, it's because I'm the new guy.
You have to earn it.
And a lot of people.
So you were successful in that. You stayed in your lane until you could switch lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. But in Columbine, I say, actually, be honest with you, after being there a year, this was actually the first time I ever made entry.
Oh, wow.
This is the
yeah.
first time they're like, well, this is so huge. Even you, this new
Even you
freaking
newbie.
guy, we need you.
So
Yeah.
what was that like? You didn't get a call on your cell phone, I assume.
No, that was
This is-
pagers back then.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have
So when
cell
you're in SWAT, they assign you a pager,
Yes.
and then you're on call 24/7
Yes.
when you're on your shift.
Yes.
Okay.
Just constantly. Unless you're on vacation, you're on call.
Wow.
Oh, not even a shift. You're just on call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Shift. You had a normal shift.
Huh?
You had a normal shift.
I had a normal
and you were
shift.
on-
and
But you're
now-
still on call.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my shift back then was 7 at night till 3 in the morning. And then if they needed you, they would. And with that being said, at that time in SWAT, you had two shifts.
Right.
You had 9 to 6, 9 to 5, and then 7 to 3. So a lot of times if stuff happened during the day, the day shift guys would take care of it. But if it became too much, then they would call.
Bring on the
And
night
that-
shift.
And obviously that's what happened with Columbine. The night shift, the day shift guys got called there, and they quickly
Needed more.
Quickly found out this is.
And you were on night. Okay.
Yeah, so I was on.
So you got a page basically saying, we need you ASAP.
So yeah, I called my sergeant because we got the call the page and has. At that time, it just said 911. You need to call your sergeant.
Did
Right.
you knew what you? I mean, had you watched the news? Did
No,
you know?
I was out back. It was funny because my daughter was 4, 5. So 95.
5.
So she was 5. I picked her up from kindergarten. My wife was working at a retail job. And so I'm out back just because it was
Doing
nice.
your dad thing. Yeah.
Yeah, super nice day out that day. Rare. I mean, April's hit and miss in Colorado.
Right.
So I was out back with her, and I get this page. I call my sergeant, and I work Denver, and so, and police department's jurisdiction is very important. You're Denver.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have no jurisdiction in Lakewood or
Yeah, they're
Jefferson
very
County.
serious about that on all
Yeah.
the cop shows.
Yeah, jurisdiction
I've
is very
noticed.
important.
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
real life,
Yeah.
this is okay.
I can't write somebody a ticket.
You don't want to
Jefferson
step
County.
on somebody's toes.
Right.
And if I wrote somebody a ticket in Jefferson County, they could throw it out because I don't have jurisdiction.
Right. It's not
Okay,
technically
okay.
legal.
No, it's
okay.
not.
Interesting.
So I called my sergeant. He said, "Hey, you need to go to Bowles and Pierce, which are two Bowles Avenue, and Pierce
Intersection,
Street,
yeah.
Right.
and that's way Jefferson County. That's way out of Denver." And I told my sergeant, "Hey, that's Jefferson County. Why are we going to that?" And he said, "Just fucking go." I'm like, okay,
I am your sergeant.
Don't ask questions.
I just want to make sure you knew that was Jefferson County, which it's kind of a stupid thing because
Right.
he knew. He's
But he
a
knew,
sergeant.
yeah, he's the
Yeah.
sergeant.
Yeah.
He knows.
But still, you have to
still,
think
you're like,
something's off, right? You're like, this is my
that was probably
jurisdiction.
your
I know
first
this.
indication that,
Yeah.
This
so
has got to be serious.
this has got to be really big.
yeah. So back then, again, we traded off cars as partners. That week, I had the car. I had the take home car. I had the police car.
So what do? Swing by and pick up your
I
partner?
do.
Really?
Yes.
From their house?
Yes.
Wow.
It depends. Of course, it depends on proximity. Obviously,
Right.
because
Hey, dude, I'm too far out. Can you Uber in?
I live
We didn't have
south.
Uber. Yeah.
I live
Uber then.
southwest.
That's true. There
And
is no Uber then.
I live southwest, and the call was southwest.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so if I had to go to way east, it wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
And there was plenty of times when I didn't have the car where my partner got called out. It just made more sense to me to drive my personal vehicle to
To get to where you.
the
Yeah.
location
Right,
and
right.
get the stuff. But it just so happened my partner
Come on,
was in
let's
close
go.
proximity,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so we drove to. I dropped my daughter off at my wife's work, and then we went to Columbine.
Right.
And
Oh, God.
What was that like driving
So we-
up to that?
so it was funny because I still didn't know what was going on. I heard a lot of chatter over the police radio of shots fired. There might be guys on the roof. The intel was just all over the place.
They
There was a
didn't
little
know.
restaurant there,
Yeah.
like on the other side of Columbine,
Yeah,
and I got locked in there
I bet.
during the whole thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was locked in. It was a little restaurant right there on the lake on the other side of the park, Clement Park.
Yeah.
I got locked in there. They locked it down. I got
Everybody
locked
was
in there.
locked down.
Wow.
And I was there for 3 hours.
Where were you with the girls? Sorry, we're getting sidetracked.
We are, but
No, not
I mean,
really,
they
though.
locked down the entire area. Like you
Yeah.
knew this was some, and we didn't know quite what it was yet. When they like what,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
yeah. They locked down the whole area. So, and I'm assuming because they need to get people like this in,
Yeah.
and they need to weed through the bad people. I mean, so anyway, so you pull up.
So we pull up and
At this point, is everything kind of locked down, the whole area?
it's just a massive emergency vehicle.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
fire trucks, police cars, everything you can think of is just a mass. I mean, from Bowl, and you know the area, from Bowles
Yeah.
to probably 2 blocks south of Columbine is just the entire street is just nothing but emergency vehicles.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
insane. So we're on, and it's quite a ways because it's so blocked in, we probably only got about 100 feet in south of Bowles before we had to stop and just gear up
Walk.
and run. We ran.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not walking.
We ran to Columbine,
Wow.
Because yeah.
and so it's funny because they put one of our half our team. So their night shift was on the east side of Columbine, and the day shift was on the west side of Columbine.
Okay.
And the way Columbine's configured, it's kind of a walk. So it's 1 story on the east side and 2 story on the west side.
Okay.
It's kind of like a ranch
Right.
house with a walkout
Yeah,
basement.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it's on a hill, and
Good way
Right.
to explain it.
Right.
so exactly. So at that point, the shooting has stopped, and this is kind of a misconception of the regular people, is that they thought we were waiting to be safe, I guess, for lack
Right.
of a better term.
You were waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had a tactic in place at Metro. I keep calling it Metro. In Denver, it's Metro SWAT.
Okay.
And my call sign was Metro 7.
Did you even have anything for a school shooting in place
Yeah,
for this?
and that's what I was going to say.
okay.
It was called Tactical Neutralization Team.
Okay.
Okay, they call it TNT. So and they have since refined it. But with that, at that point in time, it was called Move to the Sound of the Gunfire.
just keep going
So
to what you
as
hear.
you hear gunfire,
So keep walking towards danger. This is why we love these people.
you
guys.
bypass rooms, right? So you bypass rooms
imagine.
because you want to engage the targets, okay? Because this is ongoing. You want to
be quick.
neutralize this person because he's killing people, and you
Right.
want to stop him from killing people.
Right.
Bottom line, yeah.
So our tactic is, as we're hearing these gunfires, we're going to move to the gunfire. The problem is that by the time we got to Columbine, unknown to us, Klebold and Harris were dead.
Okay.
They had already killed themselves.
Right.
So
there's no more.
There was no
gunfire.
gunfire.
So you don't know where to go. You don't
So-
know.
So there's nothing to listen to.
Yeah,
There's
so
nothing.
what happens is now we have to systematically clear.
Every
We have to clear every school, every classroom.
And that's a big school.
And what happened too was
Yeah, how many do we know how many
I had
students does
a lot.
Columbine?
It's a lot.
So Columbine.
a lot.
So when and I don't know if you ever saw the film of Klebold and Harris, there was a point in time they thought they could shoot a propane tank and it would blow up, right? So it's in the cafeteria. They shoot the propane tank.
The shooters.
The shooters,
Okay.
Klebold and Harris.
Wait, I didn't know.
And it flares, but it doesn't blow up. It just flares. But what happens is it causes the fire alarm to go off, and it causes
That's just loud.
and it also causes all the doors in the school to close and lock
Oh no.
because it's a fire alarm,
Right.
right?
Oh goodness. Okay.
So what happens is they can open it from the inside, but we can't open it from the outside. So every door had to be rammed.
Oh God.
So it took us 5 hours to clear that school.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And
Those
as
poor
you're going
kids.
and as you're going by, yeah, it's horrible.
So
and,
horrible.
And so you see the pictures of them going out with their
Yeah.
hands on their head because
you had to verify.
we didn't know who
You
the
didn't know
shooters
what
were.
was going on.
So the problem was too is that the library where we found Klebold and Harris.
1,600 people in Columbine.
Wow,
Okay,
that's
thank
the
you, Sherri.
attendance. 1,600. Thank you, Sherri.
So
Big school.
the library is upper west, and so we entered one team lower west, and upper east, right? So the last
Right.
room that we cleared is the library.
It would
just
be the
by
library because it's
happenstance.
on the web. Yeah, because you're closing
Oh
in.
wow,
Yeah.
That makes
the
total
very
sense.
last room.
It's
Yeah.
the library, and
So-
that's where they
How
have all the
ironic
pictures.
is
So
that?
we saw all the dead kids
Oh
in
my
Klebold and Harris, but we also saw, they kind of half-assed, fortunately, a lot of the stuff they did. Like they had a bomb in their car, and I know nothing about like IEDs or anything, but the bomb squad talked to us later and said, the alarm clocks with the bell in the middle and the little or that little thing goes back and forth with two bells. Well, they had set the alarm off or set the bomb in their car to that, but because it does that back and forth thing, it wasn't a long enough contact to set off the bomb.
Oh, in the car.
Yeah, in the car.
So they had multiple bombs.
Yeah, and then
I didn't know that.
And they also had, they call them stingers. It's CO2 canisters with gunpowder, but they also used fireworks gunpowder instead of firearms gunpowder, which burns at a slower rate, so it wouldn't explode it wouldn't create the
so
fragmentation.
they didn't do their research at
No,
all. They didn't. They were just.
Because fireworks gunpowder just burns really slow, whereas firearms gunpowder burns fast and would blow stuff up.
Which makes me think that they weren't even like. I mean, these people are obviously disturbed on so many levels, but like they were not planning on really
They were
destroying this
kids.
whole.
How long were they
school.
friends
It's
for?
So,
They weren't even friends for that
so
long.
No.
gross.
But they created that bond of we're being
We're
wrong.
against, like,
Yeah.
you and I
Yeah.
together against
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's heavy.
But I mean, you look at the end result. I mean, okay, so I struggle because first of all, I still struggle with the school's response to active shooter. I struggle with it because the teacher in the library kind of did what schools are still doing, where shelter in place, get under the desk, and these guys are just going by and just pop him in the head.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Really, it didn't matter. They just
No.
saw a body
Yeah.
and just.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I did a Citizens Academy years later and it was still obviously a thought on people's minds, and they said can't we do metal detectors? I said, if someone's set on killing people, you're going to kill the guy at the metal detector, right?
Right.
If I'm going to walk in and he's like, hey, walk through the den.
That's the first guy that's going to,
And nobody understands, and I think a lot of the fallout from Columbine is that the cops didn't do enough, and the point that
is that what it was at first, is the cops didn't do enough? Is that but why is, I mean...
cops can't be proactive. They can't be
Well,
everywhere.
but
They
the-
have
No,
to
yeah,
react.
they were already, they
Right.
did the
They
damage.
had to
They
be.
were dead before
Yes.
anybody got there,
Yeah.
for God's
but
sake.
nobody understands that, and then the media again. I paint a lot
media.
of the negative aspect to the media, because the problem was that we had cleared the building. We had cleared.
Yeah.
We were leaving. The FBI SWAT team came in afterwards, and they started writing times and dates on each doorway that they cleared it. So the media goes in and says,
They didn't clear
no.
this for some,
so the media goes in and goes, it took them 6 hours to even get to this room.
and it didn't.
Oh,
No.
it
That's
didn't.
the FBI.
Yeah, and I got another. I probably, my personal term. Should I not say it? Okay,
You can say it and we can block it
Yeah, we
out.
can
or you
cut it
can-
out if
and
you
this
want
is-
to.
this
We
is-
can rinse again.
this is-
We can,
this is my-
we can put it through another rinse.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with double rinses in this room, okay?
Go ahead.
And I will say this for most times, especially as my dealing on the SWAT team and dealing with the FBI SWAT team, what we refer to them as fucking bunch of idiots. But that,
I think they do on most shows too. It's always that.
Yeah.
and that's just but they went in and did this, and then so the media goes in and goes, it took them 6 hours to clear this. It took some, these poor kids were in here and so
No.
they don't look at actually when they filmed, even you see the video of the kids coming out of school, they don't go, when was that in relation to?
That's
when
what
the
I
call
didn't
was?
understand as a spectator watching the news.
Yeah.
Okay, once I finally got to come home, I knew right from the beginning that there was something up with their timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't make
Because they were
sense.
saying it took hours, a day or two or whatever to clear all of this, but then you saw all the kids coming out
Yeah.
within that first, 5 or 6 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Definitely
So I
3
did
hours.
wonder, what the heck?
But
so
the-
that's
and I've never
okay.
understood the media. I don't understand what their reasoning is for making police bad. I don't understand it, because it is a necessary evil, whether you like us or not.
Or
Right.
you're here.
We have to be
and then-
here.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for us
And
to
what
be
if
here.
you weren't here? And then
Yeah.
House, it's okay. It's reasonable fear, or what did I call it? Healthy fear.
Healthy fear. It's healthy, right?
And we're not. The thing is that with that being said, and like even the cop that stops you, it's not personal.
No, I know that.
You're doing your job.
I can't.
I have no animosity towards you. I had a girl when I was in District 6. I was doing an accident report, and she got the ticket.
Right.
Because she was at fault.
Right.
I'm not. I'm not creating this. This is because of traffic law being what it is. You did this. And this happened. I have to write you to. If I find fault, I
Right.
am tasked with writing it.
There are laws in place for a reason.
Because
Yeah.
twofold. Because first of all, you are at fault. Second of all, when it comes to litigation in regards to who the insurance company is going to pay or what's going to happen,
Right.
they're going to want to look to see
Who's at
at fault.
Exactly.
And that's my job. It's not personal, but at the end of the day, and I gave this girl a ticket, and she's like, "Why do you hate me?" I'm like, "I don't."
Yeah.
No.
I don't even know you. I don't even know you to hate
You
you.
know?
Yeah.
So back to Columbine, just real quick. So you guys, did you have your partner at this point, or
This is a different partner.
different part? But so I'm assuming there's a lot of therapy you're supposed to go through after something like that, or
Yeah.
or is it
That's a good
is it
question.
mandatory, or is it
No, the only time it's mandatory is like
if
when
you
I was
feel
in
you're
my-
struggling, or
that, but also like when you're in a shooting, when you had to kill somebody.
okay,
you have to go to therapy, and it isn't even a long-term therapy. You go
Assess
to
you.
they
Yeah.
assess
I have to
police
talk to
therapist-
somebody.
this police therapist. He sits you down in his room and goes, "How do you feel?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened. How do you feel?"
Do you feel like that sort of assessment should happen after something like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Seems pretty
this is
traumatic.
hindsight. I get it. Like nobody knew what they were dealing
We
with.
have debriefs and stuff.
We have debriefs, so we sit down
Oh, okay.
as the SWAT after every op in the SWAT team. You sat down and you talk about, here's what I did, How'd you feel about how you did? But as far as like, and I guess it's a macho culture. I hate to say that. But
Still kind of is.
Oh, absolutely.
Still has,
At least I don't know now, obviously.
Well,
but
up till
obviously
4 years ago.
when I was in there, and even till I retired, it's kind of like, here's what I did.
Right.
Nobody went, so do you feel bad? Do you think about seeing the dead bodies? Do you have that problem?
They wait to see if you're struggling with it,
Then
you talk about it with whoever they give to you.
But that was never.
So from start to finish at Columbine, from when you showed up to when you got to leave, how many hours were you there?
Well, if you talk about after we had to do a statement afterwards,
Yeah.
it's probably 7 hours.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
a long time.
Yeah,
So
it's
we
a
had to
long
go
day.
and do a state. So we had to write.
Right.
So after every deal, we had to. do
And that's
our
on
personal
site.
statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want
And
you to-
then you leave.
Actually, it's weird because we went to there's a elementary school like nearby. I couldn't even tell you where it is.
There's also a little library right
Yeah.
there too.
So we went to the elementary school and they had us go into this room and we had to do our statement
Oh, wow.
about what we did. And
Okay.
so you write out your statement and say specifically what you did.
Well,
Thank you for sharing
that was a dark
story.
load we
Yeah.
just shared. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for being there and helping as much as you could. I mean, granted, unfortunately, things had happened even before you got there. But what an intense experience!
And I think so many people, my job, and I believe my job was to try to save anybody I could.
Yeah.
That was always what I wanted to do.
I just find it commendable. Anybody that says, "Okay, you run towards the gunshots." That's what
Yeah.
we do.
For people that you don't even know, you put your life. on.
That's
that
it.
seems like
I mean, it happens.
special
This is what I'm
person.
saying. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things every single
And
day.
it's funny because I enjoyed it so much, I never looked at it as extraordinary.
I don't know why
you wouldn't because
but-
you're so modest. One last
Columbine.
tidbit. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your service. First of all, Ron, and sharing that story with us. That was phenomenal. And if our listeners want to hear more about that entire story, that beautiful, or I shouldn't say beautiful, that horrific story, but a
Intense,
beautiful story
yeah.
that we had someone that actually was there and cared and helped out. Ron was actually on a documentary on National Geographic. What was the name of the documentary?
The last word?
Last word.
Yes.
Final word.
The final word.
Final word. So for our listeners, take a peek at
Final
miraculous,
word.
and it's
Final
really
word,
cool that you got
National
to
Geographic.
share your story and share what happened. And because a lot of people, like you were saying, don't really fully know the full story,
No.
and the media kind of transformed it into a way that may have been misconceived.
Well, I think that
and-
some level, and again, going back to I don't understand the media, they try to paint police officers, I think, as cowards.
Well,
honestly.
more negative.
Yeah.
More
You know,
negative.
they
by
do that
far,
a lot
by
with
far.
school shootings.
And they thought that we were standing outside just letting everybody just get slaughtered. And that's the last thing I want. I want to save people. I want
yeah.
to confront the bad guys. I have no issue. I've never had any issue. And I never had any fear. If it was the intense and dangerous, I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
That was just what I
Well, and
enjoyed that.
that's why you got into this,
Yeah.
is
Right.
to
Yeah.
be, to save people and
Yeah.
help people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stop the bad guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's why you were
Your
there.
uncle definitely saw a gift at age 8 there.
So
Yeah.
he
I'll
saw
relate
something.
I'll relate it. One more story, and then we'll go to something funny.
Yeah, please.
So we were on this. I refer to the unit. We were on a hostage situation where a guy had taken his son from his wife, who he had issue with because she had left him, and there's all this domestic violence issue where how dare she leave him. So
How old was the child?
5.
Okay,
Oh,
so
gosh.
young.
So he took his son as a pawn to get back at his wife.
Shame on
Oh,
him.
no.
Yes. So we're outside his apartment. First of all, they went to go, our fugitive unit, Denver Police Department fugitive unit, went to go pick him up because they had a warrant for him for his abduction of the child.
Okay.
So as they went to approach this apartment, he shot at them.
Oh, geez.
So they retreated, called the SWAT unit, our unit out. So we do a perimeter, contain him. At that point in time, I was an explosive breacher. So the explosive breaching is we use explosives, a controlled explosion to breach doors. Mm-hmm. It's not like you see the implosion of
You're not
hotels.
doing what is it, lock or hurt locker.
Yeah, we're not doing massive explosions.
But you're using it to like get the door lock
so
open.
so we're taking out the hinges and the lock.
Oh, okay.
So we're knocking the door over with explosives, and it's a very intricate science.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we understand how much explosive we need to do this deal.
So you don't have that scene like in Butch Cassidy.
No, we're not like blowing it.
Kid.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not blowing up the
You
entire
have to know what you're going to do.
Right.
Okay.
It's just taking out the door.
Right.
So I'm on the explosives. So it's an initiator, which sets the explosives off. So we're on our comm. Our negotiators are negotiating with the bad guy, and our negotiators, as we're listening to it, tell us that he has told the negotiators, he's taken him and his son to heaven.
Oh my God.
So at that point in time, we hear a gunshot.
Oh,
At
God.
that point in time, I do the explosives, take out the door.
Right.
So we go in, and he was at the back bathroom off the master bedroom, and he had actually shot his son and shot himself. And the thing is that this is the crazy thing about police work, is that first of all, probably about 20 minutes before that, we wanted to take the door.
Right.
And our bosses didn't want us to make him do something bad.
Reactive. He didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Our
He's already done something bad.
Our thought is we're going to take him when he doesn't know we're coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Which is when you should.
Yeah, but because of the media pressure and this and that, they don't want to get people thinking we made him kill himself or the son.
Right.
Which is the
It's too bad. It's too bad that even has to be in the equation.
Which is the eventual outcome anyway. Right.
Right. He's already done something
Yes.
bad. He's already headed to do something
and
bad.
so that's always was a push and pull for me, because I was never an administrator. I was just a guy. I just did what I thought was the best job I could do. But administrators always are thinking about how's the media going to perceive it.
Oh no.
Even with that being said, the ex-wife tried to sue us because we caused the death of her.
Oh, come on though.
You know, so that's kind of that ongoing thing. But
Unfortunately, it's a reality.
with that being said,
Yeah.
and my point was that my goal was always to save people. I always wanted,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, if I would have taken the door and gotten to shoot out that guy and saved the kid, that would have been a win.
Right.
If I would have killed the guy and saved the kid, that's a win.
Exactly.
You know, and I never had any issue with having to take a life to save the innocent.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because he's making his decision. That
He's already
5-year-old
made his choice.
That 5-year-old
did.
isn't making any decisions.
Yeah, he's not
But
in control
it
of
sucks
anything.
that you
Yeah.
have to have the influence of the media. It has to be like, well, what's the media going to say? And it always has to make these decisions based on how the media is going to portray
and that's
it.
so much of that.
Unfortunately, which is not necessarily fair.
You know, and I always should tell the young guys, because I trained for 2 years in District 4, and I trained for the last 3 years in District 6. I trained the young guys. And unfortunately, I had to tell these guys, if you came on the police department to be loved, you should have went to the fire department.
Yep. Probably a good advice.
Save a cat.
Yeah.
Everybody loves you.
Yeah.
Save a cat, do a calendar.
Yeah.
Do a
People
calendar.
love you.
Have some
You
abs.
know, make some chili. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But
Collect some money in your boot once in a while.
Yeah.
you know, and they don't.
Do your laundry.
And I have no
Yeah.
issue. The only issue I have with firemen, I'll be honest with you, is they figured it out because they're
They're smart. That's his issue with them. They're smart. They
whoever
And we
whoever-
are looking for a fireman to be on the
whoever is
podcast.
their
Yeah.
PR
We still
department.
haven't had one.
Whoever's their PR,
Oh, good.
whoever's their PR department, they're killing
They're
it
killing
They are.
You know,
They are.
because
Everyone loves firemen.
they do nothing,
Yep.
and everybody loves them.
Yep.
And that's okay.
I see them at
That's
the grocery
true.
store
Yeah, doing
with their
their
fire truck.
doing the grocery shopping together and everything.
God,
Yeah.
if a cop had done that, the media would have been right there taking pictures.
Yeah.
Going, look what they're
Like,
doing
are
with
we
their
pl-
city
it-
dollars.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
we paying them to do
Yes.
their Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, before we wrap up this spin cycle, Haas and I would like to give a quick shout out to those listeners who may be famous. We really do adore you, and even though you do not qualify as an NTRG, not the real guest, we would always love to hear from you. This is Smarge and Haas, keeping it sorted, keeping it real, from the family laundry room. Be safe, stay even, and remember, when in doubt, go half.
for listening to Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions. Follow us on Instagram at Dirty Laundry Clean Confessions. And if you would like to be the next Not the Real Guest, please email us at dirtylaundrycleanconfessions@gmail.com. We would love to air out the dirty laundry with you. A DLCC disclaimer. In this live pre-recorded episode of DLCC, Not the Real Names, NTRN, have been used to protect the guilty and a few of the innocent.